welcome everyone to another episode of the Mere Mortals Meanderings. We're live here. When are we live?
14th.
14th
of December.
I feel like that's someone's birthday that I should remember, but I've forgotten. So happy birthday to that person. And we're
I don't
live
believe
here.
it's our friend Manshells. I don't think it's our friend
No.
Manshells.
He's 20-something. And this is a live 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday, as usual. This is where Juan and I get together and we talk about books. I got a fat stack here, but no, this is a episode a little bit more lighthearted, revolving around a certain topic. And today we're going to teach you how to get the guy. We're going to teach you
how to get
pick
the
up
guy
men.
from the perspective. From the perspective of females, how to get the guy.
No, not necessarily. So I got 3 books here.
Okay.
One, The New Rules, the Dating Do's and Don'ts for the Digital Generation, Ellie Fine, and Sherry Schneider. That is from 2 women on how advice for women to get in relationships and things like this.
Yep.
We've got Get the Guy by Matthew Hussey. This is Use the Secrets of the Male Mind to Find, Attract, and Keep Your Ideal Man.
And this is from a guy.
And that's
4
from
girls.
a guy, 4 girls.
Yep.
And then I've got this one here. It's worth slightly talking about, but it's not particularly about dating advice. Attached, are you anxious, avoidant, or secure? How the science of adult attachment can help you find and keep love, which is more about relationships in general rather than advice for women on how to get guys.
Okay.
So it's probably only worth spending a tiny little bit of time on that one, but the other 2 are more interesting. So where do you want to start off on? Where do you want to know? And how much do you know about dating advice for women to get guys? How much have you
A
heard?
little bit, like a tiny little bit.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's books like this, like The New Rules, so females to female kind of was the precursor or the initiation of the, whether you call it the self-respect, but it's where the rules, and I'm assuming it's sort of like this, the rules around don't message them too fast, don't seem too anxious, create the mystery in the man so that you're a bit of a lust for the mystery of it. Things like that. Like that's probably the main thing, but I do recall it being somewhere around these sort of self-help books where it came out or originated from, and that leading into the social media age, that's where that kind of vamped up.
Yeah, I wouldn't even describe these as self-help per se.
How would you describe the New Rules one?
All right, so we'll jump into that. There is some of the most unhinged, worst dating advice I've ever seen in this book. And I was telling Juan to prepare for this because there was things like,
give me an example of a really unhinged, recommendation on this.
The simple thing is just to simply read the
if
rules.
If you're a female, like listening to this, you tell me if this is valid. Or not.
I definitely want to know a female's perspective on a male's perspective on a female's perspective on how to date. So, some of this is relatively generic, and the self-help and dating gets kind of mixed in together a lot of times where, okay, you're struggling to find someone or something. One way to get better or do that is you improve yourself, and then you're going to find a better match sort of thing. I wouldn't say this is this. This has almost zero self-help advice in it, other than go to the gym and other rules for looking good at every age. That's about it. But this is essentially a list of things that you should not do. So the first couple, be a creature unlike any other, look like a creature unlike any other. So that's their... I don't know why they're calling themselves creatures, first of all. That's a
strong start.
Not something I would have said as like a female empowerment thing, like you're a fucking creature, but that's all right. But then, here we go. Don't talk to or text a guy first. Don't ask guys out by text, Facebook Messenger, Instant Messenger, or any other way. Don't sit or stand next to a guy first or flirt with him first. Wait at least 4 hours. What's that? TTYL. Always end everything first. Oh, yeah, so get out of there. Don't answer texts. Rarely write on his wall. Stay away from his Facebook profile. Don't email a guy. Make yourself invisible. Don't talk too much. Don't just hang out with him. Let him suggest Skype and visit you more. Don't lose your friends because you're an interested guy. Don't introduce a guy. Don't write to guys first. Don't pay for dinner or buy his love in any way. Don't choose a college or job or relocate because of a guy. Don't get wasted dates. Buy aware, weeding out bad guys. Don't be self-destructive. Stop dating a guy who cancels more than once. Don't send a text. Don't text or send a guy anything you wouldn't want him to have. Don't accept booty calls. Wait before sleeping with a guy. Here's the good one. Go to the gym. Wait for a guy to follow you on Twitter. Don't date indefinitely without commitment. Next, another rules for dating with rejection. So it very much comes from a negative mindset if you can't see that. Like there's a lot of don't do things in here. And so this is the revamped version as well. So this, I think, originally came out in the 90s, as you mentioned. I'm guessing that was this kind of Sex and the City era as well, in terms of, I guess, like a change had happened. Females had entered the workforce more, and there was, I guess, power dynamics things. I'm guessing these are American authors, I'm pretty sure. So they would have probably been in this sort of like city context. You're now working professionally. More than likely, you're working underneath a guy. And so this is that kind of whole Sex and the City era of dating in jobs and big cities type of thing. And so I had my friend at the gym, Leo, he said that show was really good because it captured a timepiece of those dynamics and why it was so difficult because, you know, if a guy's, and by default, like, you know, if women are en masse entering the workforce, they're still probably going to have bosses who are men. And, you know, maybe that's changed 30 years later now because they've more progressed through their careers. But he was saying, oh yeah, the Sex and the City was a great show because it really captured that moment of time. It's like a piece of art in essence, and it captured the struggles of trying to find Mr. Right. That's another thing you'll hear in this book, and also the other one, which definitely is different compared to a male. I don't think I've ever heard a guy say, "I'm looking for Mrs. Right," but the amount of times they say Mr. Right in here is
one too many.
It's a lot. There's a real fixation on finding this kind of perfect person, and I think that's a difficult thing to. If you're looking for perfection, you're not going to find it because we're all human beings and we're all flawed. So that was one of the things that stood out from this book as well. I'm just trying to find a particular passage, but I remember just seeing things where I was just like, this is the worst advice I've ever heard. Like, particularly the really subtle ones where, so you're a girl, you're trying to, make yourself, I guess, like more visible, more attractive. They don't really talk about like, hey, this is the types of places where you could maybe go out and meet a guy. Once you're out there, how would you behave around there? I mean, like they were saying, don't sit or stand next to a guy. Like, don't even do any of the subtle indications of that you might be interested in.
Books like this is concerning strongly because it's doing it by examples, and the examples, just like I even said it maybe before we recorded, in that examples which kind of get dated a little bit are already kind of no good, because as you read them 10 years later, they talk about Twitter. Okay, well, let's change to X. Facebook, does anyone really use that in the purpose that it would have been back then? Not at all. But it misses all the... I could see where some of the more fundamental like theories or foundations live in that, okay, as you were reading all those don'ts, I could imagine a different thread of that to be talked about. It's about self-respect. It's about, guys do like what they have to pursue. And at certain stages as well, right? There's different stages. So they could have described it more around those fundamentals. And like, I would have preferred maybe if there's some science or whatever. Okay, they don't have to. The target people are just more fundamental, but the basics of it, we can all get amongst it and be like, okay, that makes sense as to why males might want something that they have to pursue, and why a mystery is better than just someone who's just very easy to get, right? But the examples of the negatives on that are so limiting to be really unhelpful, because if you like, I don't know, the the fullness of that book as a female that were to read it. But if you were to go through certain things like that, it makes me go, all right, well, is the human that is acting in this way authentic anymore? There's something to be said around, well, if it's effective, doesn't matter if it's not authentic, right? So and it's probably effective to a certain degree of individuals, but how long lasting is the value? How well is it positioned? And yeah, with some of those stupid ones, you're going to have some people taking it literally and go, well, I'm just not going to stand next to any mouse. Like, how dumb. I think the aspect, again, if I go fundamental on, well, maybe one of them is to be self-respect and be authentic and care about yourself, but also be mysterious. If you're so focused in on, I can't stand next to this guy because I might like him or whatever, I think that almost cuts it at the knees of self-respect. Like, it shouldn't matter about that. You should be so confident in yourself to be able to do that. That's immaterial to that. So rules like that, I go, it might work for, like, honestly, okay, it might work in a particular society, in a particular situation. Let's just say you're a freaking, I don't know, sports field or something like that, and you like this chick that's over there, and she's kind of like, no, I'll distance myself. Then you pursue that movement. But shit, I'd have to come up with such minute situations where that may be a good idea. But rules like that, I go, yeah, this is horseshit.
I think this is a good example of a book where it's a how-to on how to attract guys. I think even just the way it says, like the things it's talking about, how to maintain a cool Facebook profile without giving away too much, and how to spot cheaters and players and avoid them like the plague. I don't think that's actually what this does. I think this is a book on how to get the cheaters and the players. Because it reminds me of a lot of the pickup artist on the men's side of things, which is, okay, you can do peacocking to attract a girl's attention in a club. The backhanded compliments, the negging, the stuff that's designed to put them like off kilter a little bit. The same sort of they continually focus on this book about how guys love a challenge. This is one where I'd really disagree with, at least personally, which is like, I don't like a challenge. Like, if a girl like rejects me, that's done. Well, like, I'm basically, I've written her off mentally as a viable prospect. Like, sure. if you're not interested, that's fine. Yep. If you're rejecting me and thinking like that's a challenge, and then that's going to like ignite the spark, that's personally not going to work for me. Does that work for most guys in general?
I wouldn't know. I
don't know, because a lot of these, if I was to follow the tone of this, I would have said, be an asshole is essentially what I get from this book. And that
for females,
for females, yes, correct.
Be an asshole, it'll attract.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think what's missing in that is it will attract and it will attract a certain type of individual to come into that sphere. Because you agree, like, if someone did that to you, I know for sure you're going to be like, no, piss off. I don't want to deal with this, and that's it. All of a sudden, those rules didn't work. But sure, the rules will work for a subset of humans.
Yeah, don't talk too much in the first few weeks. I just, like, if you want to bond with a guy, talk and text less and laugh and listen more. There's a certain truth to that, which is, if you're listening to people more, if you're being more engaged, yes. If you read this title, is that what you kind of get from it? No, it's the pull away, not draw in, I guess. So that I think that was my problem with the kind of tone in this book. I remember there's just one thing where it was like,
so there's an overwhelming thoughts coming into my mind. So I'm sure people are thinking in the same thing. They go, Kyron, why were you reading this book?
Yeah, so I realized, I've read a whole bunch of dating advice for men. Like, I actually wanted to have a look, see, like, okay, well, what's the opposite of this? What would females be doing? So I can catch out them negging me and being like, oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. That obviously that they don't talk about negging or things like that in this book. There's less psychology other than the guys like a challenge and scarcity mindset, but they certainly don't have the level of detail that a lot of men's books have, which is probably more addressed to men. So it'll be, they're either diving deep into the psychology of these are psychological studies, behavioral studies that show, this type of behavior will affect people in this way. Therefore, if you use this type of behavior on females, it should elicit this type of behavior. Less of that, probably just because men are more like science, data, and things like that. So you'll more likely find that in a book addressed to men.
Yep. But did you find any learnings then? From this? Did you go there and be like, okay, actually, yes, I'm going to change?
Yeah.
Is there any behaviors you're going to change because of it?
No, certainly not for myself. And there was only one thing in here. You'd maybe like the exercise tips as well, because you'd probably disagree with that, and dieting tips and things, because that's certainly not science-based. It was just random.
Just throwing them out there.
There was one section here which was like, we've done a study and we have asked guys what do they like. Let me see if I can find that. Guys, top 20 turnoffs. We know we asked them. So page 217. Let me jump here quick. If you had to guess, what would be the top 20 turnoffs for guys?
Fat, smelly, annoying,
yeah,
dumb.
Sure.
Lazy.
The things, it's pretty simple. If I had to say anything about this book, I'd be like, read this and don't do any of these. So, trying too hard, multiple tattoos, body piercings, trash accessories, deliberately running into him all the time or showing up at uninvited places that she knows he'll be, texting or checking her Facebook messages while on a date. Okay, I think that's pretty easy. This is where it shows its age. Writing on his wall in a possessive way. If you were reading this nowadays, if I gave this to a 20-year-old, they'd be like, writing on what wall?
Yeah, like his house. What's going on? Like, definitely don't do that.
No. Criticizing him to or in front of mutual friends, hooking up too soon, overeating, or conversely giving guys a daily diary of what she's eating and her caloric intake, attempting to stay friends with an ex, not caring about her appearance, flunking classes, codependence, complaining about something she can easily fix or change for herself, wearing too much makeup, too much interest in material things, making friends with the guy's friends so she can hang out the same circles. I guess they were saying that, and the guys were saying that in a way where it's like they're trying to ingratiate themselves too much. Double texting and being too argumentative, critical, negative, sarcastic, getting embarrassing drunk, or comparing the relationship to other relationships. So the best advice you'd find in a female's book of advice to females is from the men.
It's from
You'd
the
have
men.
thought about it.
From the men directly. Yeah. What screams to me as you were like saying some of the rules and some of that book, and what it like the conversation that lands in my brain is like there's a certain gate. There's a gate to dating. Okay, you got to get through that gate, and okay, fantastic. But then there's another gate for relationship, and there's another gate for a more longer extended relationship. And it screams to me that book is trying to find, even if it might be wrong, find what's an effective way to just get you through the gate to get into dating, even if it means it's not authentic.
Yeah.
And I personally have a problem with that, but for sure, that can get you through that gate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's going to get you to the next gate, you're probably fucked.
Yeah.
So, that maybe you're stuffed in that relation.
Words you won't find in this book: truth, love, honesty, communication.
Good.
You won't.
Fantastic.
You won't hear any of that.
It's a good baseline, good foundation. I like it.
Yeah. Look, they've got this thing for the digital generation. It's obviously now outdated because they don't talk about Tinder. They don't talk about hookup culture. Well, maybe slightly about.
And they're talking about
culture.
AI. Sex robots.
Yeah, exactly. So there's the tone of it is very much haughty as well. They have all of these things where it's like, Alice did this, but she didn't follow the rules, and therefore like this is why she got broken up with, or this is why she got her heart broken. So
what are the names again? Ellen, Sherry. You did a disservice. In this book.
Look, I think there was probably a time and place, and it was obviously very popular enough that they managed to get a re-release of it.
What the hell's BBM mean?
What's that?
BBM.
Where's that?
It says, but that was all before texting, Facebook, Twitter, Skype, BBM, iPhones. That was BBM.
is that like BlackBerry Mobile or something?
I don't know. Does anyone of age know what BBM is? Because I'm telling you, we were alive when this book was written, and I don't know what BBM is.
Yeah. It doesn't come to mind.
Yeah. Ellen, Sherry, do better.
Okay. All right. There we go. Next book.
Matthew.
Get the Guy.
Mr. Hussey.
First of all, he's a very good looking guy, and he's also got a whole bunch of like videos on his website. Also dated in the sense that he's got, links published in 2013, so around about the same time as this one. And he's got these random links to videos of like little webinar type things. So it's like, gettheguy.com/book/
Why do books do that?
Yeah.
Why do books do that? Stephen Bartlett does that. He did it for his last rule in his rule book.
Okay.
And it was like, to get to the last rule, you have to go on the website to go find it.
It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but, I think this was a time when people didn't really...
Or maybe it was like a news thing. And it's like,
going from analog to digital. So, yeah. So for this book, he's got 3 parts. Find one. Part 1, find the guy. Part 2, get the guy. Part 3, keep the guy. So he's already...
He's better. He's improved it.
Yeah, he's already talked to...
He's going through the gates.
About doing that. And then that's broken down into things like put the odds in your favor. Don't you leave your love life to chance. So it's very much more proactive. I'd say this is more of it's got more of the self-help component of, okay, here's some things that you can do to improve yourself. So, being a woman of high value, get a social life that serves your love life, the mindset of the chooser, the traits of desirable women, the white handkerchief approach. This was one bit where he was talking in the 1800s, maybe early 1900s, how did women date back then? Like if they wanted to meet a guy. And one thing they'd do is like, if they're out on a walk, that they can't just go up to guys and things like that. But, if a guy they were interested in was passing them, they'd drop the handkerchief. And then, as any good
gentleman,
would go, pick it up. He would pick it up, go introduce himself, and then there's a connection. So it's certainly more about the aspects of what you can do to improve your odds and yourself to get the type of guy that you want. And the other things that there's the things about books and stuff like this is sometimes they'll just have one little thing where you really attach onto that and it makes you like the person way more.
Sure.
So he was talking about the joy of text here. And so he was actually saying like, I don't advocate texting in terms of this real back and forth, long thing.
Kind of like, yes.
Being more logistical and to the point. And I was like, oh yeah, that's something I really enjoy. Is that really great advice for girls to get guys? I'm not actually sure. I've know plenty of examples, and you'd even say that with the rise of Tinder and things like that, which is much more about texting. Yeah, it's different. Cultures are different as well, though. I feel I'd do better in a Latin culture where sending voice messages is much more common. Like Latin America, Colombia, places like that. Everyone sends voice notes all the time.
Yeah, okay.
We don't do that here in Australia. My brother's told me just not do that to him. He doesn't like it. So I've been told off for doing that.
I often do that sometimes, actually, to mum. I send like audio notes, but I never receive any audio notes, even from like Colombian family members.
Okay.
But I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe they know you're Australian.
Maybe they don't like to talk to me. Probably also why. So
could be that. One needs to read the get the Colombian family. Needs a book on that.
Yeah, the new rules to get friends.
Yeah. So the first bit about this is really finding the guy. What are the things you can do to improve yourself and improve your odds? The next bit is more about the dating section. So this is how to flirt, word about insecurity, art of creating the great date, sex talk, what happens if you're stuck in the friend trap, why hasn't he called, and things like that. And then the last one's how to be the woman of his dreams. Is he Mr. Right? So they've got the Mr. Right back in there. Mr. Right, yeah. What guys really think about the C word? What is the C word one? But you didn't know. If you want him to commit and then love for life. So the backstory with him is that he helped men, and that was his initial kind of thing. And then he was just getting messages from females saying like, hey,
what are they saying?
Yeah, how do I find a guy? Like, what's dating advice for me? And he said he felt awkward at first because he's like, well, I'm not a female, so how can I kind of do that, but then after just kind of leaning into it and actually, surveying guys, finding out what they like. And then also I think if you just spend enough time in one world trying to attract women for men, you start to learn about the other side as well. So I'd actually be really interested in reading a book from these girls on what guys can do to get girls, because that would be really fascinating.
It'd probably be shit. It'd probably be terrible.
I think it would be,
rules. The dinner must be over $132 and you must pay for it.
Something like that. So, things like this that he's got in here. Compliment 3 people a day. You can't leave the gym until you've had 3 conversations. Talk to anyone reading a book. Talk to a guy playing with gadgets. It's a lot more friendly in nature. Like, hey, how are you? Sort of like vibes instead of a standoffish.
Feels more encouraging.
Yep, for sure. He's got plenty of talk of how to be a woman of high value, how you might go about doing this. And you know what? The funny thing is, reading this book really made me go, I think I am a woman stuck in a man's body. I got to say. We're coming out here. I'm coming out as trans.
That's what happened.
But no, seriously, in terms of like personality wise, if I think of myself, and I think I mentioned this before, the aspects that he was talking about of like what if they don't respond back? What if you get in this type of situation and you're feeling nervous about approaching or something like this? So even if it's like a really subtle version of approaching, all of this I really resonated with, as in terms of like, if I was a female, this is exactly how I'd feel as I feel right now as a male. So it's honestly, funnily enough, like I kind of wish I was gay, because
you were like, this was an influential book for me.
This would be a really, really, really helpful book for me.
It wouldn't though. It wouldn't though.
No, because gay dating dynamics.
Correct. Yeah, I was going to say, it would be very different what the gay community would be wanting or expecting.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
So both of these books are talking about a girl finding a guy.
But if you were in if you were in a female body with your current mindset, you're like, aligned. This is good. I get it.
Yeah, and I think that's just a lot of
Karina would be like, yes, this is on. This is aligned.
Yeah. I feel so. Because just most of my personality traits are certainly what I think you'd lean more towards the female. I really don't like aggression. I really don't like confrontation. So like the people pleasing type of nature. Many of my hobbies are much more like female dominated, orientated, if you want to call it like that. Neuroticism, same thing. Like when I was just reading this, I was going, it's just. It's too
You're talking
familiar.
to me, Hussey. You're like, yeah, it's talking to me.
It's too familiar. When I was reading this, I was going, okay, I get it.
And again, any items from the book that then changed your behaviors, or was it just more of an entertaining?
Yeah, this was more of an entertaining read to get into both of these and go, okay, if I had a female friend who was, complaining about dating or wanted
that book might be a better one than the rules one.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I would definitely be recommending this. And
well, what it ultimately, I guess, what I'm hearing as well is you as a guy, and you'd be like, if a girl expressed all of the behaviors that this book is portraying, you would be like, yes, like nailed it, well done. Like I'm down for that.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of the questions at the back actually, if you can remember, it says inside you'll learn how and where to meet the best man. Can you remember where he says where's the best location?
No, I don't think he had particular recommendations other than related to whatever hobbies you're interested in. If you enjoy going to bars,
right,
go to bars. If you enjoy, the gym, go to the gym. Art, go to art fairs, things like that.
And it says 8 words that instantly build attraction and chemistry with any guy.
Okay,
I
don't remember
that. Was it 8 words in there?
Oh,
maybe it was.
I really don't remember that.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I like if they've got the proof or like the information behind it as to where they get it. I like that sort of stuff because it's interesting questions that everyone would want to have answered, and if there's enough depth to it, then it'd be cool. But no, I get it. There's a bit more in this one that I'd go, okay, I could see the recommendation to a female to be like, yep, this is more along the lines of you're going to get a more broader set of guys or individuals that you're probably going to be able to attract, and it's aligned to the things you care about and everything else.
Sure. We'll touch upon this one really briefly, and then perhaps after the Boostagram Lounge, we'll just talk about it, if we were going to give advice to females, what we would do.
Get ready.
Yeah. Last one here, attached. How are you anxious, avoidant, or secure? You might have heard of this before. It's very much in the like the 5 love languages, if you've heard about that before. It's a way of framing personality traits in a new structure, I guess, because I think psychologists and people love just doing this, creating a new formula. From what I've gathered, the best one is ocean, the 5 big traits: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. And those are why I kind of constantly talk about them for myself. I'd had some friends really recommend this book and say, like, this really helped me understand myself. Some guy friends, actually. And the guy friend in particular would have been an avoidant personality type. And the thing reading it, I was like, okay, this could actually help me out in a sense, because it's like, maybe it lets me know myself a bit better, what type of behaviors that I might exhibit that I don't realize I'm exhibiting, and how this affects relationships that I have with people, and in particular women, which is, this book is mostly focused on your relationships with a significant other. More broad in general, it's not advice, although it does have some advice of, if you are a certain type, this is maybe some things you should look out for and what you could do. And then the 3 types: secure is you're I guess, comfortable, you're in yourself, in what you say, and you have set up boundaries for yourself and things like this. Avoidant is if there's not even conflict, it's just as you move into a relationship, you start to distance yourself in certain respects. You'll perhaps not talk to the person as much, not be unwilling to jump into something and make it formal to introduce yourself to her friends, or have your family meet her, or things like this. The other is anxious. Was it a secure, anxious, avoidant? Anxious is where, oh my God, has he texted me back? Or like, oh my God, is she? And once again, this is not gender specific. It's across male, female, non-genders, if you want to include that as well. And
no, I don't include.
And right in front of me, after I just came out, and you say that. And the types of behaviors that'll come. So it's got a test here to find out which are you. And it's a pretty simple thing. What is my attachment style? And then there's got 3 columns, A, B, and C. If you tick off mostly A's, then you're a certain type. If you tick off mostly B's, you're a certain type. C's, same as well. So some of the things. I often worry that my partner will stop loving me. True or false? Like, if you feel it, tick it. I find it easy to be affectionate with my partner. B, tick it. And I find that I bounce back quickly after a breakup. It's weird how I can just put someone out of my mind. C. So you can see there, okay, anxious is if you're mostly ticking A's, secure is if you're ticking B's, C is if you're avoidant and just like, oh, whatever, doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Yep.
As I was going through this, I'm like, all right, what do you think I would be, Juan, after just generally knowing me?
Probably avoidant.
Avoidant, you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I predicted...
There's bits between, like, I guess I don't know the depth of what it actually means between avoidant and anxious and secure, but I would have said some aspects of anxious, some aspects of avoidant.
Sure, and there's other things. If I had to guess, I would have said I'm probably more anxious. So some of the things for anxious people would be, I worry that if my partner leaves me, I might never find someone else. During a conflict, I tend to impulsively do or say things I later regret, rather than not being able to reason about things. I worry that I'm not attractive enough. If I notice that someone I'm interested in is checking out other people, it makes me feel depressed. If someone I'm dating begins to act cold and distant, I'll worry that I've done something wrong. A couple of those were things that I ticked yes. There was a couple of things in C, avoidant, that I ticked. But I think I remember it was basically, it came down to, I was like, 6 anxious, 5 secure, and 2 avoidant. So I
Oh,
went
okay.
like,
Yep.
oh, okay, cool. All right, I've got a ratio here of what I am. What do I do next? And the book does not talk about that at all. It's just like, if you're one, you're one style, and you're either secure. I think they said it was like 25%. Maybe see if I can find the actual stats that they used. I remember there was, you can also be anxious avoidant as well. So you can have like, the worst of both. You can be that person.
You can be APOE 3 and 4. You know.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to find the actual numbers they said.
Triple load for Alzheimer's susceptibility.
Yeah. It was something like 50%. Maybe like 50% secure, 25% or 24% of anxious, 24% avoidant, and then 2% of this joint one.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's like, this is a book more useful probably for figuring out like what your partner is, and then being able to help that, because a lot of the things that were then being recommended in here, I was like, they use the same thing where it's like, John, 29. When I was growing up, my father constantly told me not to rely on anyone, blah, 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 blah. And then it goes on to show how this belief in self-reliance is therefore stopping him from creating a relationship, and is helping him not get exposed to heartbreak or something like that. Helpful for some people, not helpful for me at all. I kind of just went like, this is a way of framing things.
Yeah.
Not useful for myself.
Yep.
If I had to describe other people from it as well, I'm not sure. I'd like, for you, I'd need you to actually read this and do it. I'm pretty sure you'd just come out as secure. But it's hard. It's hard. I know what you mean. I guess what I'm assuming is it's more, it helps you read other people and understanding, oh, you're secure. Okay, that means this. And I know that I'm this. So that's the discrepancy, as opposed to so much like doing that quiz, you wouldn't learn anything new. You're just like, oh yeah, I know that. Like, yes, okay, you've now added a label. I mean, the label could be you're a duck, a lion, or a quack. It's like, okay, well, fine, but still nothing has changed. It was similar to, for my daughter when she was going through toilet training. My wife went to a toilet training like seminar that they held at the daycare, and they began it being like labeling, using labels and going, okay, well, if you've got to do this quiz about your kid, oh, okay. So if you've landed on all this, you've got a monkey, and if not, you got a lion. If not, you got an otter, and you got like the animals, right? And all these animals had a particular theme to do with how they might best go for toilet training and everything else. Sure.
So again, those labels could have been whatever. It actually doesn't matter. There's underlying activities or maybe threads of how they act that do support that. But again, label is label. You could call this not anxious, not secure, something else entirely different. It's not. It doesn't change what you know about yourself. It maybe helps illustrate it, and especially someone like you. You know plenty exactly how you might behave. I guess it would be really beneficial for people who don't even know that. Like they just have no idea that there's these angles. There's like they're performing unconsciously actions that they just aren't aware of, and when they really are confronted by the question, maybe makes them think like, oh, actually, yeah, I do worry about that, but I'm assuming for people who just don't even think that way, that might be a beneficial book.
Yeah, for most of the population, if my numbers were right, of securely attached, people feel comfortable with intimacy and are usually warm and loving. This book is useless. Like there's nothing.
You'd be like, oh, it's informational. It's like, no, it's informative, but cool. Okay, nothing for me to do.
Yeah, pretty much. So there we go. Little book review session that we had there. Let's jump onto the Boostagram Lounge. And I did see Cole coming in. He's saying, "Single women keep other women single." That's probably advice
that's an interesting one.
I'll talk about in the in our dating advice section.
But no Boostagrams.
No Boostagrams. It's not coming on.
No, it's not going on.
Sorry, people. The
staying off
beanie is staying off for the moment. But if you would like to help support the show, meremortalspodcast.com/support. They've got some areas there. You can send us some PayPal. You could use in one of the podcasting apps, which we very much enjoy. Fountain, in particular, is one we recommend. It's the easiest to use.
Correct.
And I will maybe just double check. You just checked on
Correct.
Satoshi stream, didn't you?
Didn't check on Fountain directly.
I'll do a little quick double check.
Just to see if there's anything else. But, yep. And I guess we'll get into, in this second part now, I guess more so, what would we recommend after reading... after Karen's read a couple of these books, but just talking about it as well. What are the sort of things that we would say or suggest to individuals out there, specifically maybe females? I mean, we can broaden it up to just be just relationships in general. There's a couple of philosophies or like foundational things that I was making notes of, just purely off the purple book from before we even did this podcast. I was thought, it'd be more so I framed it as questions, I guess, more than anything. To talk about it. I mean, one was the thought of, the effectiveness. Like, in reading all these books or just hearing or even like any advice to females in general. Actually, was there anything in the Fountain? Yeah, from an effectiveness perspective, I kind of go, my one advice or my one thought process in talking about it mine's more of an interesting one. If I look at it for my daughters, right? So from my daughter's perspective, when they get older, what's something that I would suggest to talk about? One might be mindful of doing things that are effective that are not authentic. I think that's can be a crippling one, because I know personally I can do very effective things to get to the first gate of dating, and that's immaterial of the tools that you use and the places that you go to. You can express yourself in a way that can almost be manipulative, right? You can manipulate almost all you want to get to the first gate. Fantastic. But that effectiveness only goes so far. Now, if you aim at the game, and I guess that's got to be important, what are you aiming for? If you're just aiming for numbers or to mingle, or you could expand it beyond relationships into friends, then aim it very directly and be very effective at that. An example of an AI and project management chat that I went to, and I haven't been to many networking events for a while, but one aim as I went there, part of it was learn, listen. The other one was, I haven't been to a networking event for a long time. I want to mingle and talk to a lot of people. I made a point to just talk about basically every single person that was there. I basically told them a quick spiel of what I was doing, sort out about what they were doing, find out their names. I was super loud. I was loud on purpose. I got super loud. I was making jokes. Like it was being like very, very outgoing in those interactions. And that was effective. Now, I would say 80% was authentic. What do I mean by that? There were some people there, I couldn't give shit what they were telling me when they started talking about it, but I was being effective in asking them a few more questions to it. There were some really weird dudes there. Some really, really weird dude. I didn't want it. I was like, authentically, I'd be like, I don't care. I'm just going to leave it. But effectiveness, I was like, cool. I'll interact. I'll bring them into the picture. I'll have the conversation. So put that into an example of, in the dating world, whether it's a girl or a guy, I'd be very careful on what things are you doing and you're listening to and reading that are making you effective, that then you will be crippled at the bit when it becomes authentic. Because the first gate of dating, being effective, wonderful. Into a relationship, I think you can still be effective in some ways and still miss authenticity. But, and I've said this before, when you get into problems, when you get into a longer lasting relationship, that is where authenticity is going to really show up.
Sure.
And you can't keep effectiveness forever if it's not exclusively aligned to how you live. So, and I wouldn't say, again, in like the spirit of telling this to my daughters, I would kind of go, there are some times when you have to just be effective, because that's the game. Like, you've got to demonstrate to be a little bit different and do certain things to put yourself into positions. If you authentically really enjoy laying around the home and not really doing much, again, they're not going to come and find you. Like, you kind of have to be effective in doing things that put you into a betterment and serendipity and find someone. Maybe you touch that to effectiveness, but that is like one foundation. I'd say that would be my one of my tips, one of my going to positions, and that's female, male, independent.
Yeah. This reminds me of advice my dad gave me once when I was, it would have been like 15, 14 or something. Mm-hmm. And, obviously the topic of like girls or dating came up. He probably would have forced it, because I know I was very avoidant in that. I'm very avoidant in that context. So I really disliked talking with my dad about these things when I was young, and it just like that wasn't the type of relationship that I had with my mum. So it didn't come up. I remember him saying, you kind of have to put on an act, like put on like a mask. you behave differently, and this is how you can like act confident or get a female or something. Essentially fake it till you make it. But I remember just the advice back then, even then it resonated wrong. And this is where I go like, man, it must be tough being a parent, because some things that, you know, that might have really worked for him. That might have been advice he heard when he was 15 and it helped him get out of his shell. Because it sounded like we had very similar backstories, other than his upbringing was totally different than mine, and you know, had a lot more religious aspects to it and things like that, which has its own trauma, if you want to put it that way. So there's some things where I'm sure that was probably fantastic advice for him. For me, just resonated wrong, and I was like, well, if I can't be myself and I have to pretend to be someone else my whole life, like, I'm going to be unlovable, because that's not me. Like, I have to, you know, they're falling in love with someone else, and that's not me. So what's the even point? You know, probably the addition to that advice would be like, you know, you'll have to be effective for at least some certain bit to get your foot in the door. And then over time, you can't keep up an act like that. That's impossible. And so your personality will naturally seep out, your true one. And then, you know, then they'll have to decide if they actually like that true personality or not. And
no, I get where you're coming from. Like, one thing that it's
funny. This is just, it's the same thing over and over again in the dating world. So much of it comes down to confidence and fake it till you make it, and discussions related to these two.
But even to like the exploration of you're in the position you're in, and there's like a load of other people who are in similar positions where they authentically are different in the way that they lead a day-to-day life, because either choice or they don't have to or whatever. But effectively, in the world of society that we live in, it actually might be more effective to have a job, even though authentically it's not needed, not something you want to do, not whatever, right? And so there's an example there of, hey, it might even just be effective if the aim is to mingle and find people. It would be, be a job, because there's whatever the percentage is, there's a big percentage of people that find a person or a relationship through work. So that could be one area where it's like it's not authentic, because you don't have to, nor do you want to work in a profession like that. But maybe it might be really effective. The other one that kind of came to mind was, again, going to advice here, and specific to daughters, I go, one part of being effective might be being interesting. Like, it might be slightly adjacent. And one obvious way to be interesting is to have traveled a lot. Travel brings you stories, it brings you experiences, it brings you more connections in whichever way, shape, or form. But you can have a person like that is authentically doesn't want to do that. Like I've said to you previously, podcast, I have a mate who has never left Queensland, right? And it's like, he's probably authentic. He's a very authentic Australian guy who doesn't want to travel, doesn't care, doesn't want to have a passport and whatnot. I'm sure that wasn't as effective for him. But he's got a partner. They've got kids. Obviously, they're making it work. But in the grand scheme of an advice, I go something like travel or the ability to create stories of different things makes it interesting. And interesting is an effective person, because you can have these random conversations with people at a dime where it's we were driving someone home from Burleigh, me and my wife, and she was over from the US. She'd literally flown over from the US that day, and she was going to New Caledonia for some work. But as part of the conversation we were having, she started being like, oh yeah, I live in Canada actually, in Quebec, and I know French. Oh, but I also lived in Japan for 4 years, and so I know Japanese. Oh, and I also know Portuguese. Oh, and Spanish. Oh, and a little bit of French and all this. And I was just like, that's interesting. And I think in whichever angle, you can be really effective on like a broad amount of people, because if you know a little bit of Japanese, or you lived in Japan and there's some interest, there's like interests in other people's lives. But if you're like authentically might be like, I really enjoy just living in my house, enjoying training and going home and not doing anything else, it puts you in a worse position, because you intersect with other humans is very small. Like that percentage is such a fraction where if you're like varied, even if it's not extensive, but if you're varied enough, you can hit a lot of percentage of population and have at least more surface area to hit some sort of good, successful connection.
Yeah. Good advice. Yesterday at a barbecue, there was a girl that came along. She came along with her boyfriend, so that was obvious from the get go. But we got chatting for a bit, and I think I overheard them saying something about Italy, and so I asked her about travel. Man, was that an easy conversation to talk with her for the next 20 minutes about the various different places she went in Italy, where she likes to go to, where she's going next. Like super easy conversation starter is travel. So that's like a good one.
It's a helpful one. The other one, I was right. This is a slippery slope in that it's a question: do you desire people, or do you desire what you can't have or want to have? And those are slightly two different things. So, the clear example, this is from I guess males and females. If you're lonely, if you haven't been in a relationship for a long time, or a date, or anything else, whenever you stumble upon a person, there might be a real possibility that you're not desiring that person. You're just desiring not to be lonely.
Sure.
Like that's like the inverse of it. And it's a slippery slope because it's not all that wrong.
That's probably something I've been feeling in the last year
so
or
like
two,
so
for sure.
my fear, one of my fears, that's for Kyron, I would say is my fear is that extended period of being on your own means that you move away from the desire of just a person in general, and then it becomes the desire of, okay, I don't want to be on my own anymore, find someone. And then and the slippery slope is like that might be the path, because you can make a relationship work probably with just about everyone, as long as they've got some similar values, right? You can make it work. So the slippery thing is that really such a bad thing to go into a date or a relationship or even extended if it isn't about the person necessarily at the beginning? I don't know. Like there's more a question, I guess, to think about as a person, in that when you're younger, like if it's a younger generation or younger individual I'm saying this advice to, it's like, it kind of doesn't matter. It's fine. You can just be wanting it because you want the experience. If you've never had a sexual encounter, it might just be for that. If you're wanting to be in a relationship, if you want to encounter people when you're traveling, it's fine. Like I think it's all totally fine. But when you're starting to, if you've done it already, a few of those things, and you're just desiring these things rather than the person, it can be hard, because at what point might you get down the path when you go, oh, I'm no longer lonely, or I've got someone and they're with me through some suffering and some other things, but then the person aspect of it comes up and you go, oh shit, I don't want that. And that's a real problem, because you've satisfied something that you've always, like, you wanted, but then the person itself doesn't satisfy what your end state is of that person, which then leads to, I'm sure, many relationships. It's like, oh, that's the, like, okay, cool, go and find the right dress, go and find the next person that will now satisfy that aspect that you now don't have satisfied in the current relationship.
That's tricky. I mean, that's getting into like, what would you call it? Like dating advice for older people as well. Like when you're, and there's the thing where it's like everyone's an individual. So if you're giving broad sweeping advice, it's very hard to tailor that.
Yeah, but I guess like it gets a question. The question itself can be independent to like age and whatnot. Because one example of a younger person is, might it be the case that dating is what's the thing that you're missing right now? Take it as an example. Is the answer, forget the people, like forget that you're finding the right person, desiring the right person. Maybe you go on a few dates and with whoever, right? And it might not be even aligned with what you want, but in the nature of then you fulfilling the dating aspect, it then kind of unlocks you to then care about even more so desiring the right person. And it also, I'm sure, puts most people into a good state of mind. Like, oh, I'm dating, like I'm seeing people, I'm doing whatever. And it almost unlocks you, makes you even more confident when you meet the next person to be like, hey, did you want to connect? And again, this is, a bit of a weird like gray area. Some people go, oh, if I'm dating, I'm only dating one person. Whereas, there's a whole bunch of groups where it's like, oh no, I'm dating a few people and I'm seeing a few people and to see what it is. I don't know. Have you ever been in that situation where, you've been dating and then seeing a couple of people and then that puts you in a position where it's like, oh, it's actually even easier now to have more conversations to find the right person?
Yeah. Both, where it was like dating and just dating one person, and then dating where it was more of a, you're keeping your eyes open for the whole time. But that was certainly more of a a learning experience. If I had to give my pieces of advice, and I'd try and make it broad sweeping as possible as well. So like, number one, understanding the male mind is, and especially when it comes to sex, just when you're in your teens as a male, it's even crazier in puberty. Like that's all you can think about. I'd try and just impress how overwhelming that urge is and how much it clouds your mind. And even getting into like later, 20s and 30s, like it's still, and probably 40s, 50s. I don't know when the testosterone decline. Well, it declines over age, I guess. So that probably plays a part. But I'd really try and impress upon like a female just how. Yeah,
there's not much to get around evolution, right? Like evolutionary, once you hit the male age where testosterone is getting generated, evolution tells them you need to procreate now. Yeah. Make some offsprings. That's your main thing to do. Yeah. Has existed for such a long time. It's really just a new convention of the last couple of 100 years that we're like, we don't have to do that. So there's an overwhelming
and with birth control, it changes things. So that'd probably be the number one, like understand the male mind. Okay, this is and it's like irrational in the sense that we can't really control it. A lot of times it's just there, and it's, man, is it strong? So that would certainly be one. Cole's addressed one here, which is single women keep other women single. So yes, it's such broad, easy advice, but bears worth repeating. The average of your 5 best friends, if your 5 best friends are single, like there's probably a reason why they're all single. And this could be great if you're all in your early 20s and not caring about a relationship. If you're all deep into your mid 30s and you're wanting to have kids, and once again, this is for the females, and all your friends are female and single, there's probably going to be some, how would you call it? Association or encouraging of behavior which isn't helpful. This guy said this, fuck that guy, let's get drunk and
forget him.
Eat a whole bunch of ice cream to make yourself feel feel better or whatnot. Or girls night out, we just go out and we follow the rules and we're just fucking trash assholes to all men. That's not going to help you. If you go on a date with a guy and it was a really nice date, but he did one thing wrong, and then you've got a friend who just really hones in and focuses on that one thing wrong. He's not Mr. Right if he, sneezed into a fucking handkerchief and then left it on the table or something. Okay, yes, maybe that's gross, but that's not the worst thing in the world, right? Sure. It's that's probably something that could be addressed at some point as well. So this focus fixation on Mr. Right is probably, I wouldn't advocate for that.
For sure. I wouldn't either.
Advocate for figure out yourself, what do you want, and then what are the kind of non-negotiable things that you want to see in a partner, and then just try and be ruthless in terms of you're not going to change him if he breaks one of those things.
Correct.
If loyalty is something super important to you and he cheats, trying to fix that is probably not going to be the right solution to your problem.
I think something you said, I think it's rules are not so much about them. Rules should be more about you. And I think if I try to put it again, advice, daughters, I'd kind of go, just maximize how good you can be in whatever you care about. And again, that's what really important, whatever you care about. And again, if it's for you, it's hand balancing of someone else, it's training, it's running, it's reading, it's chess playing, whatever. Just set the rules for you and maximize who you are, because again, whatever niche, whatever area it is that you are great at, there are certain attractive qualities to, so here from a male's perspective, it is attractive if they're they're really great at a particular thing. That's that's enchanting in a way. It's kind of enduring. They're not just bottom level whatever. They are performant. I guess in today's world, we don't care as much about the female who's going to just be staying at home looking after the family. And some people still do, but I think a broader perspective of humans now are I want a power couple. You know, you want to have the individual that's also a go-getter or that's also doing a lot of things in whatever area that you're looking on. So maximizing who you are as whatever it is that you care about, and being, again, to the part of being authentically you, being really good at that, just knowing where you have to be effective, and that might be in putting yourself out there in certain situations. Yep, fine, makes sense. But I think the more you maximize yourself and put the rules on yourself, the better it's going to be. And forgetting I've got a family, so what's, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Who's going to be, or inversely the other way. It's like, I think that's a recipe for a problem in that. The forcing function of finding the focus on someone is less powerful and less useful than the forcing function of putting it on yourself and being like, yeah, but am I like the right attractive individual doing X things that will make the right person come to me, and I'll help that out. And some of that kind of like from The Secret, the book, it's like, if I do this, it'll attract the people. Well, it will. It genuinely will, as long as then you put yourself in the position for people to discover you. And again, that can be in this world that we're in right now. It could be through apps. It could be through social media. It could be through whatever other places. In the past, as an example, I've been approached at the gym by people, and that's resulted in dates. It resulted in whatever. If I had to guess, it's because I was either loud or I was doing something crazy or whatever. But it's like and maybe I was capable enough in those areas that people find it as like, oh, that's kind of cool. So an example for a girl, if it's running, if you become really good at your running or your training or the movements that you're doing, and you show up and you are courteous and effective and all those things, you're going to have people in that same ecosystem that are going to be like, yeah, they're attractive for all these various reasons. But super helpful if you're focusing on yourself as opposed to focusing on, oh, that guy's running there, I'm not going to run next to him, because then he'll know I'm attracted. So if I just run on the other field, that'll get him. That'll get him.
He likes a challenge.
That's right.
I can see Juan's dating advice for men's. His book's just going to be called Be Loud.
Be loud, be obnoxious, lift weights.
So on that, I would also then highlight in particular what's the Pareto principle, but even Pareto squared is what I would say.
Pareto squared,
is that if you've got 5 hours a week to invest in yourself, let's just say that's all you can manage, or your job's fucking crazy, hectic, whatever, 5 hours a week or an hour a day maybe. The biggest bang for your buck is simply losing weight. So if you're overweight, like that's and it's tricky because like you don't want to then say like, look, the importance of guys for a female's attractiveness, we're very visual. It's I'd say whatever much you rank a guy's appearance in your list of like criteria, for a guy like the appearance is just, it's a very strong portion of it. It's almost a binary thing. And I'd just try and impress on that without then saying like, you got to have bigger boobs. If your nose isn't imperfect, if your hair's not like perfectly straight, or if you got curly hair or whatever, it's almost like, as long as you're thin, and thin by whatever maybe body fat is probably the easiest way of saying it, rather than thin, because you can be like a low body weight, body fat girl, low body fat percentage, and for females it's probably in the 25% ish to 17%. I don't know, something around there. You can still be super curvy or very very thin, straight ballerina type, but that's the thin's probably not the right word. Anyway, I'd just impress. Appearance is very important. So if you only have 5 hours, like, don't spend those 5 hours becoming the best pianist in the world and be super overweight. I'd probably put the 5 hours going to the gym.
There you go. Yeah. There's a Pareto squared principle in action.
Yeah, 100%. And then any other stuff, I mean, like, there's this great clip of this girl where she's like, hey, this is for all the boys out there. Hey, guys, what do you want? And then they're like, what the fuck do you want? And it's funny because it's like
Porsche, it's a Porsche 911 under the Christmas tree. That's what they want.
All the comments for that were like, NVIDIA XPGT chip with World of Warcraft or like Warhammer,
Yep.
download it onto us. That's all we want. The other aspects when it comes to like, what do I do if a guy doesn't text me back, or if he says this thing, or he's behaving in this sort of way, all of that's probably like a little bit out of the depth of advice I'd be comfortable sharing, and it's too niche, too granular, unless you're like really getting in. Yeah, when it comes to like one-on-one, why is this person behaving this way? There's no rhyme nor reason. I've spent way too much trying to analyze interactions I've had with women, and it's just like
picking up cheese.
Yeah, that all right. That's one thing. Don't fuck
with cheese.
Fuck with cheese.
Honestly, I'd agree with yours on like the burrito squared principle. I think it'd be just lose weight. That's a huge thing. Obviously, just from a health perspective, and all round people care about that. And I think the other one is get to the point that you can read yourself really easily. If you can do that, and whatever the fuck you care about, but if you can read yourself really easy by emotions, goals, awareness, care factor. Again, you can't really read. You can only read people to a certain extent, but if you can read yourself really, really well, then you can understand certain things when you then move into positions of dating or relationships, and knowing whether you're doing it again for, is it a power dynamic? Is it just you're doing it not for the person, but for the thing that you're missing? Then you'll be able to understand that and know whether it's like a go or no go and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because you mentioned it before, I think I'll be honest, genuine. It's about a thing that happened during the week for me. So when I was on Wednesday evening, caught up with family, and then I was walking through the city back to where I'd parked, which was in Kangaroo Point. So essentially I had to walk through Brisbane CBD, 10-ish blocks, whatever.
Yep.
And then across the bridge over the river to where I'd parked. I don't know how long that walk is, 20 minutes, something like that. Yep. I experienced an intense loneliness I have not felt for a fair while in terms of the intensity of it. I think it was kind of triggered by being two things. There was one, there was like Christmas markets out, and so kind of walking into that from the casino, and at that time of night, like all you're seeing around is couples. It's just couples everywhere. Yeah. And if you're also walking through the city, you're passing by any restaurants or things, it's just couples everywhere. So, there's me here walking on my lonesome with a couple other like random lonesome people around, and just seeing couples everywhere. It does like sting, makes you feel, especially if you're looking for a relationship. Yep. And then the other is just being, I think, in a place, aka the city, which is normally bustling, full of life. There's people everywhere, and then it's very quiet and empty. And I did feel that real intense like bite of loneliness, which is like fucking hell, like this is not fun. Like I would want to be with someone right now. And that was where it was like, oh yeah, like I didn't even have a picture of a person per se. It was just like anyone. Good to be with anyone right now.
And I think the important thing for anyone who's listening to this as well, it's like being real that as humans, the inverse also happens a lot as well, right? Like you will also have people who are in.
There's someone walking around during the daytime, and there's people all around. They're just feeling
exactly.
trapped.
They're like, oh my god. Or you have someone who's not even a relationship. It's like you're in a family, in a big family with like 5 kids, something like that. Like you're one of 5 kids. And like, man, I just want some space. I just want loneliness, I want quietness. So
exactly.
The opposing thing can happen, and I think important in those sort of situations is like, one, like it does, like there's nothing you can do around it, but then it's the making sure that because those things happen, you then don't just leap into fulfilling that particular hole with any random old person, because for sure where you find as an external, you'd be like, what the hell? Why is that person with this person? And the answer is, well, they just wanted to fulfill the bit of not being lonely, right? And it's an acceptable thing to an extent. So it's like, that's where it gets like slippery fast. And you got to be careful. I think people need to be aware of that, where as a human, you'll just want other basic fulfillments that don't even associate to a person. So, an advice to a girl, I'm sure they're going to get the same thing, where you'll feel loneliness in that relation. It's like, there's some expectation to that. Don't let it be the thing, though, that then drives you to do so, unless it's then getting to such critical points that you're like, okay, actually, it's probably more beneficial to just fucking be dating anybody, because at least it gets you past a bit of the hop of loneliness and into the, okay, I'm in the dating space with someone who's not probably my long-term person, but now I'm in the hunt to that pursuit.
Yeah, there's certain extents where it's I've a friend's friend is she's a 27-year-old virgin, and I don't know the full stories behind it, but I don't think there's like a strong attachment. She was like a virgin at that age, and that's one of those ones where it's like, if it's not like a real religious thing, if it's not a like I need to be absolutely sure of my first time that they're with Mr. Right or something, it's like, oh man, that's probably like, that's going to cause some real hang-ups the first time you interact with someone. Like if sex is not the first time when you've had like such a long time building up to it.
Yeah, that could be a troubling thing. Yep.
Yeah, that could certainly be an issue thing. Therefore, like, is the advice there for like go sleep with any random dude? No, but there's certain things like that where it's like, knowing yourself and why you're doing certain actions.
Yeah. Look, long story short, as our feedback.
And the funny thing is, we could look back at this in 20 years' time. One daughter, Vienna's, like 22. She's out in the dating world. The advice could be like, oh, your AI boyfriend's not treating you right. Like, ditch him for the Chinese version. And like,
will be, man.
It's like open source models. What are you doing dating a closed source model?
Don't be paying for your boyfriend. Open source it. Just get ads every couple of weeks. That and don't be fat. That's basically our advice. Immortalites.
Correct.
We'll leave it there. That's been a wide-ranging conversation around dating, specifically females giving advice to other females, males giving advice to females, and doctors giving advice in generality and putting labels on people. I hope you enjoyed. If you've got any other comments, again, feel free to throw them through. You can reach out, socials, email. You can send us support to the Mere Mortals podcast .com/support as well to support us in many ways. Otherwise, for those who have tuned live, thank you very much. 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the Sundays. For now, we'll leave it there. Be well wherever you are in the world. One out.
All right, out. Bye.